For those of you who don't know, Dave is our productivity coach. I think probably all of you have a relationship with him on some level and know that not only is he pretty good at his job, but he knows everything there is to know about command. So today we're going to break down the contacts and opportunities applets because those are really sort of the basics of how you get paid and how you function and everything else. So Dave, take it away.
All right, can you give me the
Oh, of course.
capability?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. There you go.
Good deal. Thank you. Well, good afternoon again, everyone. Let's see, most of you I have either talked to or communicated with in some fashion at some point in time. Let's see, Sherry, member of the Producers Club. Jeremy. Scott, I'll be meeting you tomorrow finally.
Mm-hmm.
Madeline, I know we've at least emailed back and forth. Well, basically, if you don't already know this, some of you do, some of you don't. As it pertains to command, command is extremely powerful in all that it does. But having said that, there's only two parts of it that you really have to know in order to get paid. And that is the applet called opportunities and the applet called contacts, because you cannot create an opportunity without a contact. And command will do a lot of things that we won't get into a whole lot of detail today with what it all does. But it can be all encompassing from your marketing. Oh gosh, your listings. Listings, that's your opportunities. I mean, there's just so much that it does, an automatic drip campaigns and so forth. But like I said, the only thing that you will need to know in order to get paid is you have to have an opportunity, to submit to the market center with all of your compliance, with all the documents that go with it. And in order to have an opportunity, you got to have contact with it. So jumping in, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So let's see which one. We're here. All right. Are you seeing my screen?
Who?
Okay.
When you log into command, this is where
your
you're
dad.
logging into your dashboard that says welcome home. On the left-hand side are your applets. If I click on the little red KW up here, it opens them up so you can see what each applet is. Home is your dashboard. Your contacts, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. Tasks, smart plans, referrals, opportunities, the other one that we're going to talk about. Then you've got campaigns, reports, designs for marketing purposes and such, your listings, and then the consumer-facing app and website. I'm going to start right off with the contacts. And once this gets loaded up, Zoom calls tend to slow it down sometimes. And come on. Okay. Your contacts, the homepage of your contacts, it'll tell you over here on the far right, how many contacts do I have? It's showing 1 through 10. Something's going on here because that by default should be more than that. So we changed that. Now I have my contacts listed over here on the left-hand side. In its very simplest form, you just go up here to the upper right and click on add a contact. And I'm going to put in Bruce Wayne. I want Bruce's email address. I want Bruce's phone number. Where did I meet Bruce from? Is he a Facebook ad? Is he a lead from some other source? Maybe he called. Maybe I got him in circle prospecting. Let's just say he was a call-in. I want to tag him. A tag is nothing more than just kind of identifying what the person is. You can group people. We'll call Bruce a what's superhero. I don't have one, so I create one. I can pick a color for it. Add it to my list. Now I have Bruce as a superhero. I can quit right there. I don't need, in order to do my opportunity, I really don't need any more than this. But if I want to, I can add more information. And actually, before I do this, oh shoot, I think I didn't save it. All right, now I'll create them. Here's what I'm going to point out to you on this. Should show up here at the top. And he's not. Okay.
It's like really invasive. Like I have to sell and do all this shit too. Oh my goodness.
Again, this is slow because we're doing it on a Zoom call. It doesn't typically go this slowly. All right. I'll give you one more caveat too, and that's the fact that it's Tuesday. And Tuesdays tend to be an update day for command. All right, there's Bruce. All right. The quick thing I'm going to show you right here is right there. There's a contact health score. On your home screen is a database health score. You can get this number up to 100%. And this gives you a reason to contact Bruce Wayne to find out any information you don't have, such as, I don't have his home address. I don't have his birthday. I don't have his home anniversary. I don't know where he works. I don't have his work location on here. Again, I don't need that for the opportunity, but I do want it for health score purposes, for improving my database. All right, so I'm going to go now. We have a contact in here, Bruce Wayne. I need an opportunity. I'm going to create an opportunity. This is how I'm going to get paid. So I click on the opportunities. When you click on opportunities, you will have across the top, if you're on a team, you will likely have 4 categories: the team name, your name, all opportunities, all discussions. If you're not on a team, you will likely have your name and all opportunities, and that'll be it. If you are on a team and the team requires that your opportunity be displayed under the team and not under yourself, it will make a difference where that contact resides. For the purposes of what I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to create this opportunity. I'm going to click on my name because I put that contact under my name, and I'm going to create an opportunity. This is a key factor right here. When I click create opportunity, by default, it's going to go to listing. If I'm working with a buyer, it is imperative that I select buyer. If I don't, and I go and create this opportunity as a listing, there is no way to change it over to a buyer. You would have to archive that opportunity and create a new one. So make sure you have it. If it's a listing, by default, it will be listing. If it's a buyer, make sure you click the drop down and change it to a buyer. Under the client, this is why it's important that you have to have a client in here. If I type in Bruce, it finds him right there. Now I have associated that client that I just put in there with this opportunity. If I did not have Bruce in there, nothing is going to show up. If I put in, let's take him out of there, and let's put in Dick Grayson as Robin. He's not here. I didn't add him, so I can't just arbitrarily put him in here. Select Bruce Wayne. Opportunity name, by default, it will say the client name hyphen buyer. If it's a listing, you'll notice it changes it to the client name listing. A bit of advice: if you're doing a listing, you already know what the listing address is. Put the address in here as well. You're just identifying the opportunity with that address name. Again, if it's a buyer, if it's a buyer, you don't typically know what the address is at the time you add the opportunity, because they haven't picked one out yet. Custom tags are optional if you want to tag it. Maybe it's a first-time home buyer. Label it as such. Maybe it's a vacation buyer, whatever. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to put in here. Estimated close date, a time frame, a budget, and a commission rate. Your opportunity phase, opportunity stage. There are 3 requirements in here at the bottom. One being the commission rate. What is the commission rate that you're charging this particular client? If it is a listing and you're doing it at 6% or 7%, the commission rate is not 6 or 7%. The commission rate is your side of the transaction. If it's a buyer, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 3.5, maybe it's 4, whatever you may be charging your particular buyer. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to put 3. Opportunity phase. If you look, well, it's kind of hard to see it underneath this box, but you have cultivate, appointment. Behind that is active, under contract, and then closed. That's the opportunity phase. Those are all phases. There are stages underneath each of those. The opportunity phase, you can only start off a transaction under cultivate, appointment, or active. Cultivate being over here on the left, appointment next to that, active would be in the middle. You cannot start an opportunity under contract or closed. You can move it once you've set it up, but you can't start it there. So we'll leave it at cultivate. The opportunity stage are the stages inside of each one. And I'll show you how you move these through. We'll just start with the very basic, cultivate and watch. I'll create the opportunity. And here is your details on this opportunity. The office, the opportunity name, that's the name that it was defaulted to. Contact name, the budget, if you set one up, the commission rate, which we put in is 3. There is no commission yet because we don't have any property associated with it. If I go up here to the upper left under the sales pipeline, if I click on the buyer cultivate, now we're under that cultivate phase. I told you there are 3 stages underneath it. There was watch, nurture, and hot. Bruce Wayne, we put under watch. This is maybe just the beginning stage. The next thing you want to do is you want to nurture them. So move them over. You can just click on those 6 little dots and you can drag it to wherever you need to. Maybe he's hot. He's pretty ready to go. You get him over here. You've set up an appointment. He's going to come in next week, meet you in the office, drag it up to appointment, click on appointment. Now he's over here under scheduling. Scheduled, appointment kept. These are the stages underneath the appointment. So scheduling, scheduled, and kept. Under active, you have searching, showing, negotiations. Don't worry about legacy. There's a reason for that. We're not going to get into that, so you won't put anybody in there. Once maybe you're going to go out, you've got your buyer all ready to go. Drag him. You don't have to drag him one by one all the way through here. You can move him up and put him into the active. And there's Bruce down here on the bottom. He's under searching. Maybe you're showing him homes already, so let's move him over here because that's what we're doing. We're now showing him homes. You found him a home. At any point in time, you want to open this up, just click on it, and it opens up that detail section, just like we looked at it a few minutes ago. Buyer profile, going through some of these details on here. It's saying here that Bruce Wayne has not registered with a consumer platform. I'm not going to get into it right now, but in the consumer section of Command is the consumer app. There, it is also on your website in here where there are buyer guides and seller guides that the client can go through and follow along as to where they are in the process, what needs to be done, how the process works. That's what this buyer profile is saying. This client has not registered with the consumer platform. So that's why there's nothing really displayed under here. These next tabs are getting into the compliance and getting paid. And I realize I'm going through a lot of this very quickly. Some of you have seen this before. Some of you maybe haven't seen much of it before. This will explain a little bit of why if you have a client that you start off as a buyer and it should have been a listing, or you started off as a listing and it should have been a buyer, that you cannot go and change it. You have to basically delete the one that was wrong and start it over again, because these documents in here, this is consultation, under contract and close, pertain to a buyer transaction, not a seller transaction. Under a seller transaction, this will be listing, under contract and close, different set of documents. In here, these are placeholders. This will tell you what the document is. You click on it, it'll show you what the document is that's supposed to go in that spot, but it is not the document that you're using. But it tells you the documents I have to have, and they're required. Agency relationship disclosure is a required document. Buyer agency is a required document. Land title, ABA, affiliated business arrangement disclosure, is a required document. ABA for home warranty is a required document. Home warranty agreement waiver is a required document. In order to be approved, all of these documents have to be in here for compliance purposes. You'll add them over here on the right. The other thing up here, you notice this big black button, start a transaction. You should have either or both DocuSign or .loop attached to your account. You can use either one. .loop is owned by Zillow. Keller Williams no longer supports it. The office is currently paying for it. If that's what you want to use, you can. DocuSign is the preferred one. And if you've never used either one of them, we'll work on DocuSign. Personally, I'm using DocuSign. I'm very familiar with .loop as well, but I personally haven't used .loop for probably the last year and a half or so. But you can use either one. And when you start a transaction, you click on it. .loop will go to .loop. DocuSign will go to DocuSign. And you'll just end up being logged in. When it wants to do it. In DocuSign, it creates a room with the exact same name as your opportunity. .loop does the same thing. And you'll be able to create your documents, your purchase agreement, your agency disclosures, the whole 9 yards. All these documents that you will need will be able to be conducted and shared from either DocuSign or .loop. Another thing that just to kind of point out, you notice now the start transaction button is gone. It's now sync transaction. It will sync with whatever platform you're using, DocuSign or .loop. If you selected one and you meant to use the other, you can't go back and change it. You can only pick one or the other. So make sure you pick the right one first. Over here, back on this left-hand side, consultation. These, again, are the documents that are required for the buyer consultation, your buyer agency documents. Under contract, green sheet, that's kind of the old-fashioned way of getting paid, but you still need it for the time being. MLS card, that's the listing card. That's the listing as you see it from the MLS. Purchase agreement, pretty straightforward. You need an executed copy of the purchase agreement. One thing I'll point out, all these documents, when you upload them, it says they're required. What you're putting in here are the fully executed, completed documents. Again, the purchase agreement, if I click on this, it's going to show you what the purchase agreement looks like. But you're not using this document as you see it on here. It's just showing you the document that's required. When you complete a document and you put it on here, it's the fully executed one. It's completely filled out and signed by everybody. An addendum to the purchase agreement. Notice it says conditionally required. That means you may never need one. You may never use one, but if you do use one, you do need to add it. The earnest deposit, pre-approval letter, seller's disclosure, lead paint disclosure, and so forth. Those are all, some of those are required documents. Some of them are conditionally required. Home warranty data collection form is optional. You may never use it. The closed documents on the far left, you will not add anything in here. Nancy will add the DA. Nancy will add the green sheet when it's done in here. Your closing documents will be added by Nancy or the front desk when it's completed. The next tab over is offers and commissions. This is where the green sheet is ultimately going to go away. you notice it says there are no offers for this deal. You need to add an offer when you have created it, when you've done an offer, when you've submitted an offer. This doesn't mean you're submitting the offer to another agent. This means I've sent an offer off to another agent. We've negotiated back and forth and we have it accepted. You're putting it into command. You might just call it 1234 Main Street or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what you call it, just so that you know what it is. Create the offer. Offer date is the day you start entering it. If you want to backdate it or something like that, you can do that. The close date, when did you want to close on this transaction? We'll call it March 12th. The property. I'm going to select the one that I've used in here before. 1234 North Main Street in Rockford. That is a legitimate address, by the way. That's why it populated like it does. If it's a listing on the MLS, click this box right here. Select from KWLS. By default, it opens up only my listings. Click on all listings and then find that property address that you want to use. And you can search any property in the entire country in here. So let's just start typing the address that you want. If it's on the MLS, it'll populate in here and you'll just click here to select. This particular one I put in here is not on the MLS, so that's why I didn't do it that way. So we've selected we've got the offer date, we have the close date, we have the property address. Go down here to select parties. I did that. What is it? Okay. All right, under the parties, we're working with a buyer. So the buyer side is already filled out. I didn't have to add anything in here. However, I do need the seller information. I don't know who the seller is. It doesn't really matter, but I have to have something in this blank. Whatever I put in here goes no further than right here. So it doesn't matter. So I could put Mr. Seller. I need the associate's name, the agent that has the property listed. I will tell you that when I go back, if I go back here and I select from KWLS, that when I go here, the agent name will populate. Because I didn't select one from the KWLS, there is no agent name in here. But if I did select from KWLS, it would populate the agent name in here. So in this case, I'm just going to type it in. I don't need any other information in here. I don't need anybody's address or anything like that. So next I go to terms. You have to work the terms up here. Cash finance amount equals the sale price. You have to work it left to right. You cannot work it backwards. In other words, we have an offer that is being accepted for $425,000. I can't type in 425 in that box. It doesn't work. Over here, and I don't have to be exact about this, but about how much are they putting down? Let's just say they're putting 10% down. Okay, they're putting down $42,000. The rest is going to be financed. What would it be? 425. $383,000. And you'll see it equals the 425. Earnest deposit can be displayed as a percentage or an amount. And most of the times around here, we're doing it as an amount. It'll calculate the percentage if that matters to you. So we got a $5,000 earnest deposit. Option fee does not come into play around here hardly at all. In some states, option fee is a big deal. In Michigan, I don't know that you'll ever come across it, so I don't even worry about an option fee. Termination option. Buyer will give notice of termination within blank number of days after the contract. If you're going to put anything in here, more times than not, it's 10, namely because inspection period. That's typically where you've got any type of a termination option available. Seller costs. The seller will contribute blank to a residential service contract. If it's a listing of yours, maybe you've got a home warranty you're charging that the seller is providing. So it's a seller will contribute blank towards a residential service contract. Seller will contribute blank to settlement costs. Anybody have an idea what typically might go in that box? That would typically be if the seller maybe is paying closing costs. You're writing the offer and you want the seller to pay $5,000 in buyer's closing costs. That's what you would put in this box. In this example, $425,000. More times than not, the buyer's going to have their own money. They're not going to need the seller to be paying closing costs. So in this case, you may not have anything in there. Down here at the bottom, we go to agent analysis. This comes in handy, especially if you're dealing with multiple offers on a listing side. What are the pros and cons of this offer? Pros would be good down payment. Maybe it's a quick, or a fairly quick closing. We put the middle of March, but whatever the cons, that's not quick. I guess I got it backwards, that it's not quick enough. The cons are maybe the seller wants it close in April, but the buyer wants to do it. So the con is a quick closing. A summary. Again, none of this information is required, but can be useful. When you're done, just click save. Now you have an offer in here. It's a $425,000 offer. They're putting $42,000 down. They're financing $383,000. They've given a $5,000 earnest deposit. Closing by March 12th. 10-day termination. Again, due to maybe for the inspection. If that is the offer that has been accepted, well, let me back up. Let's say it hasn't been accepted. Maybe there's a negotiation going on. If I click these three little dots, I can either edit the offer, changing it, add an analysis, send the offer, which would be sending it to my client. Typically it's a listing, or remove the offer altogether. At the top, add a negotiation. It's going to enter your negotiation name, your counter offer. It's got all of the same information that we had before. The closing date is still the same. Oops. Go back here, get this date, March 12th. I hit save. It should have gone to parties. That stays the same. The terms, maybe the counter offer came back at 430. The earnest deposit is going to remain 5,000. Nothing else has changed. Now we can save it. Now your offer is 430. You can look at your previous negotiations beneath it. This is the one I inadvertently did. Okay, our previous negotiations, that was the original offer. This is the counter offer. If we're good, we accept it. Now you have a new tab over here that is functional that says Manage Commission. This is how you notify the front desk the commission information. Notice over here on the left, we don't have a contract date in here because we didn't put one in the details section. So you click on the Edit General Information and we put in a contract date, which is today. And we save it. Everything else up here on the top, this is 3%. This 12,900 is 3% of 430. This number does not change anywhere in here. When I go down here to the scroll down the page, we have the payment breakdown. Edit agent payment. If we look at what's in here, we have, this is your royalty cap. This is your company dollar cap. These numbers should be accurate in the system to what your cap is. It's got the agent gross commission minus the 6% royalty fee, minus the 30% company dollar commission, and any other deductions, which, taking those things into consideration, shows that I'm, as the agent, getting $8,256 of the 12,900 because the rest of this is paid to the office in the form of the royalty fee or the company dollar. Now, where I would tend to edit anything in here, again, this number up here does not change unless, I'm going to back up and give you an unless you're splitting it with the team leader on your team. And I'll come back to that in a second. Otherwise, this number does not change. The royalty fee, your company commission, if you want to contribute to KW Cares, KW Kids can. Bold Scholarship, I don't know that anybody contributes to that one. They do contribute to the other two. Again, the net to agent, 8256. Down here at the bottom is edit or extra payment options. Add an item. Are you charging your client a broker admin fee? And how much? Treat it as a bonus. You know that the office is charging $100 to you for every client. How much are you charging to the client yourself or as a team? It could be whatever amount it might be. Let's just say 350. Split with the market center, turn that on, and then add. And you'll note it gets added right here. So it's the 12,900 plus this, and then your royalty fee and company dollar are taken care of from there. The other thing is you now add an item and click a deduction. The deduction would be the $100 to the market center. You don't need an email address. Okay, so now we have a deduction down here at the bottom. Now I click Save Changes, and then you'll notice on the right-hand side, everything has been added in here now. We have the bonus of the $350, the admin fee we charge to a client, the royalty fee, the 6% of the combined up here. The same thing, the 30% company dollar of the combined up here. Pay to the agent now has gone down a little bit, and then other deductions, that $100 that comes out. When that's all good, you'll just hit submit, and it'll go to the office to have the DA, the distribution authorization, put together for you. Which, going back to the documents tab, under closed, the very first one is DA right there. That's where Nancy will put it, is in here. Jumping back a little bit here under consultation and under contract, I talked about how these documents, and I skipped over a part here, these documents are required. Same thing under contract. There are certain documents that are required. Once a document has been uploaded into its placeholder, the link will reside right here to the left of this button. And this button here that says submit to MC will be highlighted in teal color that you'll be able to click, and it will go to compliance. Carla, Lance, Nancy will see it and be able to confirm it that it's completed. I think I can go back here real quick and show you. And this isn't going to do it because I didn't put any documents in here. Okay, here under this particular client, here's the, it has not been submitted to the market center. That's why the green button, well, the button is green, but here's the document, agency disclosure, that has been executed. That's what it looks like when it has been. Trying to remember if I have another one in here that's got more of it filled out. Oh, I know where I can get one. This is a transaction I had previously. It was a listing. And here you see, this is what it looks like when it's been approved. The document, the listing contract has been uploaded, and there is the listing contract, the link to it. It was all submitted to the market center, and they were, then the documents, the documents were all approved. Same thing with under contract, the green sheet, the listing card, the executed purchase agreement, all in there. The offer was submitted. Commissions were all done. Now, real quick, going back. Where was he? Under offers and commissions, going back to this one and manage the commission. When you set this up, if you're splitting this with the Rainmaker or with somebody else on your team, when you go to edit agent payment, you're getting credit for one whole unit, and that's the gross amount. Maybe you're splitting it 50-50, so therefore it's half a unit, and 12.9 is 64.50. Now we save the changes. Notice we have a remaining agent commission balance of 64.50 and a remaining unit balance of 0.5. So therefore we need to add an agent. This agent may be, we can do this. I'll just pick Ann since her popped up. She gets a half a unit at 64.50. You don't necessarily know what any of her information is. So now we have it split. I know I'm getting 42.52 now. Anna's getting 64.50.02. I don't know how that 2 cents came in there, but anyway, then I would submit it. The office will take care of any deductions that are coming out of Ann's total. Mine is all calculated out in here from that 64.50. So that's how you're splitting that up. But you'll note that in a case of splitting it, the agent unit, that's the whole unit of transaction. It's a buyer side transaction. So any home that you sell has two units, one for the listing side, one for the buying side. In the case of most transactions, you're only working one of them. So you would have one unit that you're selling. In this example, I gave split. Each of me took a half a unit. You know, it could be that I get one. Now we're going to have a remaining balance of an extra half unit too much. So I need to go down to Ann, and she's getting 0 unit. She's getting commission, but she's not getting any unit transaction, any unit volume. Okay. Questions, because everybody's been quiet. Some of you have never seen this before. And I don't expect you to, there's not going to be a quiz on it or anything like that. So any questions anybody has that you've either come across in the past or wonder about moving forward? So if you had to do a transaction tomorrow or tonight, especially those of you who've been around for any period of time, you can do it. I see Shannon nodding her head in the dark, so looks like she's got it. That's good.
I have a question for you, Dave.
All right.
What, when you go to offers and commissions like you were just doing, isn't that something that the Nancy or the office also double checks?
Oh yeah, definitely. They're not, I mean, as soon as, that's why I say when you've done this, if I go into manage commissions, once I've done everything in here, I hit the submit button. Then it goes to the office for them to see. The way it's been working for years is that green sheet. You're submitting the green sheet. That's kind of the old school way of doing it, but it's still being done. Our market center Nancy is still using those. So you still have to do one, but the commissions tab is what is going to take the place of the green sheet. That's the more modern day version of a green sheet. So today, as we speak, you still have to submit a green sheet to the market center for Nancy to generate your commission check when it closes. In the future, those green sheets will go away and this will take its place. So you're still submitting it. My recommendation is you submit the transaction, the commission, as I just showed you on this page, but also do the green sheet. It's kind of redundant, but it's the way the office wants it. And it's a good idea to get in the practice of knowing how to submit a commission in here so that when the green sheets are gone, it's not having to learn something new all over again. And this is a lot easier than doing a green sheet.
And so with the unit or the commission, you know, and you have another and it's not half, then you would just put the percent that you're receiving out of 100 and what the other person is receiving.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I followed your question.
Okay.
Comment.
So if in the commissions tab, you have a unit, a whole unit, and you're only going to get, let's say it's 55% or 45%, you would just put that amount in of whatever that is.
Well, it's kind of, if I'm understanding your comment or question correctly, commissions and units are two separate things. Excuse me, a unit, the unit is the side of the transaction.
Okay.
Like I said, every transaction, every house that you might sell, there are two units. There's the listing side and the buyer side. If you're working on the buyer side, you're only getting one unit. If you have a listing and you double dip that listing, you're getting two units. You're getting a listing side and a selling side. When you're splitting a commission with anyone, you are not necessarily splitting the unit. You may be splitting the commission in some way, but not necessarily the unit. For awards purposes, and this holds true with pretty much any company out there, there are awards for number of units done and an amount of volume done. So it's possible, I suppose in theory, you could get credit for a unit and not get paid at all. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to do that, but I mean, in theory, you could get a unit and somebody else get the commission, or vice versa. You not get a unit but get the commission. Somebody else is getting the unit. What else? Anybody? Well, like I said, the bottom line of the whole thing is, and I know this can be very confusing, especially when you're not terribly familiar with it. But the bottom line is, in order to get paid, you need to do an opportunity. You have to have an opportunity. And in order to have an opportunity, you have to have a contact associated with that opportunity, even if you used it for nothing else whatsoever. Again, going down this list over here, campaigns, you can sit here. In fact, I've got Facebook posts already scheduled in here. If I want to run a Facebook ad to generate business, I can do that right from here on campaigns. Reports, this just tracks emails I've sent out through command. Texts and calls. You may or may not be familiar with Twilio. This is telling me how much I've used Twilio for texts and calls for the month. January, for instance, I did 27% of my allotment in texts that I sent out. Designs. I want to create marketing pieces for social, for print, for email. Oops. What happened there? Huh. All right, now it's going to be difficult for me, or going to be a pain here. Oh, they must be doing something. That's all of a sudden it decides it doesn't want to. I was going to show you the post that I put for this morning. I did this morning. But anyway, that's kind of an overview. There's, like I said, there's a lot of things that Command will do. But the primary thing is, in order to get paid, that's the one part you're going to want to know how to do is opportunities and adding a contact and getting you into that. And there'll be other sessions coming up that'll get into other aspects of Command. Certainly, if you have a question, a specific question, you can reach out to me and ask, how do I do this? Or I know you showed how to do this, but I don't remember. Can you touch on that? Because I'm here to help any way I can with that. So
Thank you, Dave. This has been very helpful. You could see it so many times and you still learn something new every time. So thank you.
glad to.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
You
You're the
bet.
one.
Take your time, Dave. Thanks very much, everybody. Some of you I will be seeing on Friday for KWN orientation. If you plan on participating in the purchase agreements or listing agreements class for next week, please make sure that you register for those so that I have you counted and can get you your documents that they'll be going over during class. We're here for you. Let us know if we can do anything. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.